Hey guys, 15SN here, and today we're going to be talking about incest, or more specifically, we're going to be talking about The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. The Strange Thing About the Johnsons was a short 30-minute film created back in 2011 by a man named Ari Asters. Now, in this 30 minutes, we follow a decades-long descent into madness as we witness a son sexually abuse his own father. Now, back in 2011, when it first debuted, we saw a storm of controversy as people were upset, of course, due to the absurd incestual nature of the film, but also because a white director had a completely black cast depicting such heinous acts. Well, now we're in 2017 and we're seeing the same controversy start to resurface. So we have to ask ourselves, what is it that Asters is doing in this film in just 30 minutes? And second, we need to ask what that is doing to us. Before we can understand why a short film would elicit such visceral emotions and such a controversy, we're going to have to take a look at the technicality of the film itself. So first, we're going to look at why Asters actually created this film and what his intentions were. And then second, we're going to look at some of the rhetoric he uses. But first, we're going to look at an interview between IndieWire and Asters himself. Now, one of the very first questions they ask him is, how did you come up with a premise so fucked as this? And he just basically stated that he was spitballing ideas between him and a couple of his buddies, and they were talking about taboo subjects, and they wanted to do something taboo or something that people don't usually talk about and they kind of ignore. And that kind of just transcended from taboo to a realm where people agree unanimously it's not okay. And a son molesting his own father definitely fits in that realm of not cool. And that's the birth of The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. And it's important that they chose something that would push the boundaries, because that's what art does. It challenges us, and it challenges the way we think in order to create growth in a society. But the second question they asked him is, why, as a white director, would he create an entire black cast to do such heinous and absurd acts? And the answer is actually pretty trivial. He wasn't trying to make a statement or a comment on anything. Basically, what was happening is that a very close friend of his, who actually ended up playing the son in the film, he is obviously black, so it only made sense to make the rest of the family black. And Asters actually comments, quote for quote, "There is no intended commentary on the black experience, and I would never claim to have any insight into that." And basically what Asters is trying to tell us is that he's not making a comment about the black community. He doesn't have an agenda. He's not attacking anybody. It's just that his friend, who he puts in a lot of his movies, just happened to be black, so it only made sense to make the rest of the family black. So he's not trying to make a statement. He's not trying to disparage anybody. It just happened to be that the family was black, and the message should be the same whether they were Latino, Asian, white. It should be the same message, that it's pretty fucked up. But now we're going to have to look at what he actually does in the film and why it's so effective. The most important thing that he's doing is called role reversal. So instead of a dad sexually molesting his son, which would be taboo, he switches it around to the son molesting the dad, which would just be a whole nother realm of what the hell. And basically by doing it, it not only grabs our attention, but it forces us to make questions and ponder about it. Like, why didn't the dad just stop? Why didn't the dad tell anybody? Why didn't he get help? Like, all these questions. And it's very important because it creates a lot of power in just 30 minutes. And we'll discuss what this power actually does in my next point. Now that we got some of the technicality and background underneath our belts, we have enough context to be able to dig in deep and see what this film is actually doing and why it's working. So previously I mentioned the role reversal and what it was doing. Well, when we ask questions about the father, why he didn't stop it, why he didn't tell anybody, and how it's partly his fault for letting it happen, well, if we flip that role back around and we ask those same questions to a child, why didn't you stop it, 8-year-old boy? Why didn't you tell somebody, 12-year-old girl? we start to see the bigger picture. We start to see that maybe we're not approaching sexual assault the right way, and maybe the questions we ask and the anger we throw around is preventing those who are abused from speaking up. And I think this is the most powerful thing that this film is doing. It's taking us out of our bodies through this role reversal, and we're able to see how we react to someone being sexually abused. And we start to understand that just being angry about something and throwing blame around doesn't fix it. In fact, it just kind of makes it worse, and it doesn't do anything at all. So if there's one thing that we take away from this film, it's that maybe we should reevaluate how we behave and how we respond as a culture and as a society to sexual abuse. Because the first way of stopping it is knowing when, how, and why it happens. But if people don't come forward, we don't get that information, and we can't stop it from happening. And another important thing is that this isn't a white issue. This isn't a black issue. This isn't a male or female issue. Sexual assault is a human issue, and unless we come together and reevaluate the way we actually approach sexual assault, we're not going to see any change happen anytime soon. So, in conclusion, when looking back at the strange thing about the Johnsons, although it is pretty heinous and it's beyond the realm of taboo, I think it does a very good job at showing us how we actually react to sexual assault. And now it's up for us as the viewers and us as a society to question, are we approaching sexual assault the right way? Is there anything that we can do differently? This has been 15SN, and I hope you have a great day. If you like the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment on your viewpoints, on your opinions about the video. I'd love to hear it. Peace.